Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Sit for Change. As always, we're your hosts, Tammy and Martine, here to bring you exciting conversations about making events more planet and people conscious.
Today, we're so excited to have you back for part two of our carbon estimation mini series. If you missed part one, don't worry, we've linked it below. Just as a quick recap, in part one, we covered why carbon estimation matters and broke down the key terminologies to help you start with your journey.
And now that we've tackled the why and the what, it's time to roll up our sleeves and get into the how. Let's dive into how to estimate your event's carbon footprint and explore some beginner-friendly tools, as well as advanced tools and resources to help you along the way. Take it away, Martine. Let us know where to start.
Thanks, Tammy. The first step is to focus on the biggest culprits when it comes to events' carbon emissions. Think of it like peeling an onion and start with the outer layers, which in this case is the biggest and most obvious thing, which from this graph on the screen, you'll see that is travel. Think about the following questions. How are your attendees getting to and from your event? How are the operation staff, both internally and externally from your vendors, getting to and from your event? And are they all coming from?
Very great questions, Martine, because estimating the footprint of your travel can get super complicated. This is because air travel and ground transportation have very different emissions. For instance, carbon reporting gets as detailed as the type of plane, class of your ticket, or for ground transportation, the type of vehicle and the number of miles traveled. But we'll talk through some of those tools that can help you with that process in just a bit.
Absolutely. Once you omit the attendee and staff or crew travel, you typically wind up with the accommodations, venue, or even builds, such as exhibition booth, registration counters, stages, etc., as one of the top contributors of your remaining footprint. This is where you'll need to think through the room blocks being used as well as the type of venue used. For instance, does your venue have built-in AV systems and come with tables and chairs? Or do you need to rent and ship those things in?
And this is so important to have transparent conversations with your partner vendors. You'll need all types of information to help you gauge your emissions, especially for those who want to get more advanced into breaking them down into scope one, two, and three. So communicate with your partners and have them provide you with some of the information you need. For instance, if you're hiring AV, they can let you know where the equipment is being shipped from, what type of equipment they're using, since some of them have energy efficient settings, and if they're going to use a local crew.
Also, here's a quick recap of what the Scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions are. Scope 1, direct emissions by the event host and or venue, like fuel burns on site or transportation of equipment by the venue. Scope 2, indirect emissions from electricity. Scope 3, everything else like attendee travel, accommodations, and catering.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Martine. Sometimes I nerd out and forget not everyone lives and breathes this like I do, so thanks.
No worries, Tammy. But just to echo what she just said, it's important to chat with your venue contact as well in order to understand their sustainability practices so you can gauge the energy usage for Scope 2, as well as their on site inventory of equipment and their waste or water management processes to help you gauge some of your Scope 1 and Scope 3 emissions. People tend to forget the things we take for granted, like air conditioning and lighting at events. All that adds up in your footprint.
Martine, you touched on the venue's waste management policies, which brings me to the next contributing factor, food and beverage. This is where you'll need to work with your caterer to gauge the amount of food served and the amount of food left over and not repurposed. Some hotels actually have invested in food waste measuring bins, like trash bins, so they can tell almost exactly the amount of food that you've trashed after the event.
That's super cool. And I'd love to see a report from one of those hotels to see if they've used it to help reduce their food waste.
You and I both, because The hope is that these hotels, along with anyone who is starting to look into carbon estimation, will start measuring and then use those measurements to make more informed decisions on how to reduce their emissions afterwards.
Exactly. And the last piece of the pie is all the miscellaneous stuff like giveaways, signage, decor, etc. All of that counts as well. Some things to think about here are: did they require shipping? If so, where are they shipped from and to? What was the service speed, type, and weight of the materials? Another one would be what was actually ordered and what will happen to the remaining items after the event. Are they being trashed? If so, how much was trashed? And if not, are they being shipped somewhere? Was there a hybrid component to your event? Virtual energy or platforms would factor in scope one as well.
That's a great point, Martine. Obviously, we focus heavily on in-person events, but virtual events also have a carbon footprint. Like Martine said, that would most likely fall under scope one for the computers, the internet connection, and the office energy used to run the event platform. The attendees' own energy use and connection will fall under scope three, which seems almost impossible to measure, which is a good segue into chatting about the tools that can help you make this all a little easier.
Oh, absolutely. Based on what we've talked through so far, it's really so much details, Tammy. And even the travel part alone, you have to get people's flight details. For the event planners who don't include travel booking as part of their registration process, they're not necessarily getting insight to this information, right?
That's true. So the easiest thing to do is simply to ask your attendees. We talked about how important communication is in our previous episodes, and this is where it can make the biggest difference. Event planners can create custom messaging in their marketing emails, their apps, their registration pages, and their websites that highlight their sustainability efforts and use this to inform your audience on why you're requesting this information.
Yeah, and don't forget to consult with your compliance and legal teams on how best to communicate this process externally, gather, store this information to avoid any privacy concerns.
Great reminder, Martine. That being said, what are you going to do with all of this information? Well, this is where carbon calculating tools come in, because let's be honest, none of us wants to do this math manually.
In metric zones? No, absolutely do not. So, hence why these calculators are so helpful. However, as you can imagine, this takes a lot of work. So much of these are paid tools. The plus side is that you do get to work with someone who specializes in this area to help you along this process and give you a holistic report of your footprint.
Yes, let's chat about some of these tools. Let's start with Meet Green, since we quote and cite them a lot.
Well, they really are one of the leading sustainable events agencies in our industry. They offer a lot of resources for planners on planning sustainable events, from books to research articles to their carbon calculator.
Exactly. And what's also great about their calculator is that they provide you with a scoring system of four levels, and it comes in two versions. The standard one is for beginners who just want to start benchmarking, and the advanced one are for those who want to expand into having deeper leadership conversations about business operations more than just their event processes.
Another calculator to consider would be a company called Thrust Carbon. They started out in the travel and transportation sector, supporting companies in estimating their travel footprints. However, in recent years, they've released some tools that specifically support events in estimating their footprints.
Yep, I've used Source Carbon previously, and they're so robust and very detailed. Their events tool is definitely on the newer side, and I haven't been able to use that yet. So I'm curious to hear from anyone in our industry who's used it and their thoughts. So drop those comments below and let us know.
Then there is also Trace by Ayla. Tammy and I have both seen some first-hand demos of this, and they give you the ability to enter the information pre or post-event, which helps you make decisions on adjusting your planning process to reduce your footprint in real time.
Yeah, I remember that tool. I personally think it's very user friendly, and you're able to see a user dashboard as well as a company dashboard if you have multiple users in the platform.
That's great, especially when you have larger event teams with multiple event planners. Meanwhile, the last calculator we want to mention is Event Decision. They're by event planners for event planners type of carbon calculation agency. They have various types of tools to help you get started with your carbon reporting.
They have this product, what they call Track, and this is more of a service where you get access to an online portal and you provide them with all of your event documents like run of shows, rooming lists, pretty much whatever format that you have them in. And they'll use it to estimate the footprint of your event and give you a report. It's really great in the sense that you don't need to spend a lot of time collating your materials in a specific format or entering numbers into a dashboard. You simply have to gather your files and simply upload them and then share them with them.
Yeah, because we all know that planners are working on so many events simultaneously. So this is a significant time saver too. This allows you to upload all your stuff regardless of format, and they will know how to review it since they are also event planners. As for the trace tool with Ayla, last we saw requires to be more hands-on in inputting data into the online portal. And the calculator is built into the portal rather than working with the person.
That's a great point, Martine. We obviously want to make sure this is the easiest process possible since it's already such a big feat. That being said, it's okay to start small. You can start with just one piece
Mm,
of the pie, like only measuring the attendees travel first. Then once you get a hang of that, then you can start measuring food waste.
that's right. It's not an all or nothing type of deal. You can definitely work your way up. You don't need to have your event's entire footprint unless your company is super ambitious or tied to some fiscally tight goals. But you can start with your event's travel footprint or its food and beverage footprint or even footprint.
And hopefully, even that one piece alone can help inspire you and your leadership team to invest more effort and money into more extensive carbon reporting tools that will help your company set some database goals with specific measurements and milestones.
Exactly. Well, we've covered a lot today, Tammy.
Seriously, because I'm just such a nerd about this topic and I can keep talking about this forever.
I know, Tammy. However, before we wrap up, I think there is one more cool thing we can share with the audience that can give them a small taste of what this process could look like.
Yes, I've been waiting for this part. For anyone in our audience who's curious about their own carbon footprint, there are some free calculators online that will walk you through some of the similar questions to help estimate yours.
We've shared two links below. One is nature.org, which is English, and the other is footprintcalculator.org, which allows for multiple international languages. We hope you enjoyed that little activity.
Thanks for tuning in with us this week. And if you enjoyed this episode, we'd love for you to like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you never miss out. Also, let us know in the comments what tools or strategies are you using to measure your carbon footprint.
Definitely, we can't wait to hear from you. Thanks for sipping with us. We'll see you next week for another deep dive. Until then, keep making conscious choices, one sip at a time. Bye.
Bye.